Hi guys, Harbinger here, and I am here to show you how I got to past day 900 on patch 122 in Terracards, and also to guide you on how you could get there as well. The original footage is about 2.5 hours, so I have sped it up for your convenience. However, since it's hard to pick up on what is happening when it's speeding at 16 times the original speed, I will also do a summary of the highlights here on the side. The first thing I do after placing the initial cards is usually to set up popcorn production. After a recent patch, corn production has been buffed to scale based on its own production. Popcorn is also a very valuable end product compared to how quickly you can set it up, and it's also a way to increase your animal production if you get the essence for that. After setting up to survive the early game, we are basically just setting up, waiting to get the fuel grapes essence, which makes your grapes produce based on how much excess fuel you are producing. This means that if we can find a way to exponentially increase fuel production faster than the taxes increase, we can go on forever until we hit the stack overflow bump. In my playthrough, I was lucky and got it on the second essence prompt, so I picked it and set up the initial fuel base by feeding fuel corn into a smelter, and let some fuel cows increase its fuel production by grazing on the nearby buildings. The thing about fuel cows is that of patch 122, they gain fuel production based on half the total fuel production on adjacent islands. Not as I firstly intuitively assumed that it was restricted to only buildings and plants, but it can also gain fuel production based on neighboring fuel cows. This means that if you have 3 fuel cows in a pen, a single neighboring cow will produce 50% more fuel than they did each of them. This means that if we set up some decent initial fuel production, we can immediately get high returns from the fuel grapes, and we can scale it much faster than the taxes increase. In the full run, you can see on the left, you can see that I'm currently at 13 digits of coins, while the taxes are still in the 8 digits. Now, the next big thing to happen on your road to day 900 would be to find an Easter bunny. Easter bunnies are great, and everyone's first favorite "oh, this feels broken" card, since they replace the production of whatever crop they are next to with chocolate bars, which is worth a lot more than grapes, basically multiplying our income with over 100. It is strictly not necessary to get the Easter bunny to do this, but having 2 commodities you can sell for tons of money is helpful, as you will see later in the playthrough. And we went for fuel grapes to get exponential money. We cannot make grape juice and wine, so chocolate bars is one way to do it, and another way to do it would be the peanut gnomes. Later in the playthrough, I was trying to set up more industries, as I wanted to have more legs to stand on coming towards the stack overflow crunch. It was basically to no use, but it was nice to experiment with how the other resources interact with one another without having the risk to go bankrupt for a few more 100 days. However, I will advise against placing a transportation tube if you are trying to do this yourself. The transportation tube seems to make the game lag much more. In itself, it made my journey to day 900 for me maybe 20 minutes longer than it would have to have been, and it was already 2 hours, so those extra 20 minutes were pretty unnecessary. Coming up now, you will see an example of how the fuel cows give exponential growth in fuel production. I place 4 cows next to each other like this, and we go from 2 million fuel production to 11 million fuel production. You basically use this trick to get whatever fuel production you are content with for a while. After this, it is basically just passing time until you reach the money levels where you are nearing the stack overflow. Because of the transportation tube, it was a bit laggy for me, so I decided that I did not want to expand the farm anymore, so I just made myself some trash islands where I put whatever items I picked up without any meaningful purpose other than to save time on placements. And now we're just back to the main run. For a few 100 days, I was just placing random things on the farm until the taxes encroached up into my income levels, and I increased the fuel production again to get ahead. I was scared about encountering the stack overflow without noticing it, as if you press the end day after the income pushes you into the stack overflow, you go into the negatives and it's game over. The stack overflow is somewhere around 9 when there are 18 more digits behind it. At around day 750, I realized I could just turn off automatic selling, and manually sell goods whenever I needed to get into the positives after paying taxes. However, you also soon realize that you can get into the stack overflow in the revenue of your individual products. For example, you can have a negative 7 quintillion income of selling chocolates. And then you can't sell them because you can't sell your products for negative income. This is why it is important to set up multiple incomes based on the different products. Luckily, I was also producing grapes. We are now 200 days away from the mythical day 900, and it's basically just more of the same. From day 750, we have a little bit more tricky as we are manually selling off items, and I also try to gauge where the stack overflow limit actually is. I do this by looking at the possible income I get from selling chocolate and when it goes from a positive value to a negative value. Now, a thing I discovered is that after something enters stack overflow, adding another stack overflow into it will make it come back out into the positives. I think that this information might be wieldable for an attempt at day 1000 for a proof of concept of reaching a day infinity. From day 800, we have to continuously to dance with the taxes and manually sell off goods to stay in the positives. Later, when we get to and past day 900s, we see that the taxes stop increasing after they encounter the stack overflow tax. This means that if we can get a way to reliably get to day 1000 by paying taxes over 910 times, we can probably go infinite. If anyone are to go infinite, I think that somebody has to do it within a few days, as I don't think the fuel cows are intended to work this way in the future, and are probably due a nerf of some kind. At least they either have to change the fuel cows or the fuel grapes essence again. They already changed the grapes quite recently, so I think it is the fuel cows that are due a nerf. Now, before I found the fuel cows scales by themselves interaction, I had quite a lot of fun trying to reach day 600 by using a combination of fuel cows, gnomes, and grapes. So if they're going to nerf something, I hope they change the fuel cows to maybe only gaining fuel based on fuel production from adjacent plants. I think fuel cows grazing on adjacent buildings are also too overpowered, as you can make a crazy carrot build and just feed that into a bioreactor, and we would still have a 2 bonkers fuel strategy to perform in the future. So, what do you think about this means to reach day 900? Are you going to try it yourself, or did you know that you could get this far into the game? Or have you even found any other bonkers combinations to get you this far? If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to comment, like, or subscribe, as I would love your feedback. I spent way too much time getting this footage, and as I understood that I was potentially reaching infinity, here I did an unconscious strategic seppuku to end the run at day 923 by accidentally selling off the chocolates. And yeah, I had to get to bed so I can get some amount of sleep before going to the work next day, so I think it was a great decision. I hope you enjoyed this guide to day 900 and beyond. Harbinger out.